Hi, all. Today I'm going to be talking about surrealism. It'll be a quick introduction, and I'll get right to it. Surrealism is on page 413 in your textbook, and if you're following along in your workbook, it's page 129. Excuse me, Surrealism art period was from 1924 to 1942. And the statement that I have is to sought to expand the consciousness by transcending limits of rational thought. Now, I often spend time talking about what it means to transcend the limitations of rational thought. And really, rational thinking is what gets us up in the morning. It's what makes us not cross busy streets or spend too much money, more money than we make a month. Rational thinking is what really makes us sane. So you think, well, why would that be a limitation? But artists are constantly poking and prodding and exploring different aspects of reality, society, who we are. And so they aren't interested in what we know, what everyone's doing. They want to see why we're doing that, why we're not doing it, what are the things we're not doing. And so the surrealists were trying to explore those thoughts under the thoughts that we have. And it just aligns with, at this time, Sigmund Freud was developing a new science called psychology, where he was exploring the subconscious and the ego and the id. And so he was thinking about these same things. So this is where we talk about the zeitgeist of the time. We were exploring the alternate, the sub thinking, consciousness, realities, and things that are there, but we don't necessarily spend time thinking about. And the artists were thinking about it. So when you look at, say, a painting on page 414, and this is one that you'll be doing an art reflection on this week, is the persistence of memory. Persistence of memory, created in 1931 by Salvador Dali. You look at this and you think, okay, melting clocks, and there's actually a timepiece with ants on it, and this thing that's on the ground, and is it a duck? Is it a horse? A blanket? We often, in the classroom, will spend a little time trying to figure out what it is. But this is where you look at it and you think, you're not supposed to know what it is, because anything that you're going to guess would be a rational guess. Students say, I see a duck bill, or I see a nose, or I see eyelashes, or it looks like a canvas, or it looks like a horse. These are you adding your limited thoughts and ideas onto what this is. So the whole point that you don't know what it is the goal of the surrealist artists, that they're trying to transcend what you might know and see where that takes you. So a lot of times when you look at the surrealist art, you think that's just weird. What are they doing here? And the reason it's weird is because it's not conventional, and it's going beyond what you think about every single day. So the artists, once again, are achieving their purpose. Another characteristic of this art period was juxtaposition. And we'll talk much more about juxtaposition when we get to pop art and the Dada art movement. But juxtaposition, the idea of juxtaposition is you take one idea or one symbol or object or something that stands on its own and has some meaning, and you put it next to another equally symbolic, meaningful image, idea, object. You put them, and they don't feel like they go together, but you put them together, and by the two coming together, you create this third idea. That's juxtaposition. Take one idea, put it next to another idea where they don't seem like they go together, and together they create a third idea. Juxtaposition. So, for instance, in staying with the persistence of memory by Salvador Dali, ants on a clock, on a timepiece. Why they're ants on a timepiece? What does it mean? Once again, it's not going to mean anything literal, because this is a surrealist painting where they're trying to get beyond the literal, realistic ideas that you might attach to it. Matter of fact, you look at Rene Magritte. He's another artist during this time that has some really funky looking things. And the painting that's in the book on page 415 is of two people kissing with sheets over their heads. Well, when you're kissing, you really don't want a sheet over your head. This is juxtaposition. Does it mean something? Does it have additional meaning? I'll leave it for you to think about and try to figure out. Joan Moreau, another artist. Matter of fact, we have a sculpture by Moreau at the Nasher, and so he had some pretty crazy things that he was doing. Other artists during this time, actually, Frida Kahlo is an artist during this time, during the Surrealist time. Hers aren't as crazy as maybe a Dali painting, but she definitely was putting some stuff out there as she explored her personal life and tragedies and tried to figure out life from a personal perspective. So most paintings are of her and what she's working on. Max Ernst, Merritt Oppenheim. Oppenheim has a interesting, and I thought I saw it in the book, has an interesting sculpture where he has a teacup and has fur on the teacup, juxtaposition. Fur does not belong on a teacup. Matter of fact, I will encourage you, if you have any kind of fur on your dishes, take them out and wash them now. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But for the Surrealist artist, that's juxtaposition, and it gives you these different ideas. Max Ernst has his sculpture on page 413. Actually, it's a painting, oil on canvas, and he's another artist. Matter of fact, just to jump ahead a little bit, on 413, it's talking about Dada, and you can see at the top of the page there's an iron with tacks on the bottom. That's juxtaposition. Tacks do not belong on the bottom of an iron. All right, so so the characteristics I have for Surrealism is that juxtaposition, that they emphasize color and design rather than storytelling content. We're moving further and further into these abstractions, and so the art isn't about telling some story but maybe exploring different concepts or ways of seeing the world and abstracting the world. And Surrealism takes us a little further in that direction. And then, of course, as I said, exploring unconscious mind, dreams, fantasies. I wish I hadn't put hallucinations, but you get the idea. So that's what we have for this week. That you have an assignment, which we'll post tonight, and then, of course, your art reflections. So you guys have a great week, and I will see you online soon.